enter the writhing and pustulating mucoid surface of the petri dish. Can you see your reflection? Probably not, and it's for the same reason you can't see yourself on the surface of turbulent waters. The simmering slideshow of microbe activity is burbling like an oil slick in a jacuzzi. Sometimes it looks like a humanoid form trying to emerge from heavy saran wrap. You see a head, a part of an arm. You see two hands, and sometimes you see two heads. But that could just be a head and hindquarters arching out of the murk at the same moment. It looks like something that is either hot for sex or hungry for freedom. But you know you don't want it to achieve either. And you certainly don't want to watch. Well, some of you probably do, in the hope of an accompaniment of self-inflicted frottage. It takes all kinds. It's an adequate image of things seething in the culture and looking to get out. It's a hybrid human effort, seeking a mutation in form so that previously impossible perversions might become doable. There are triffids and troglodytes, chemical golems and off-planet circus freaks trying to break out of the human shell and give hell a chance to party down. New laws with new permissions are waiting in the wings for the appearance of some new tattooed and pierced creation from the island of Dr. Moreau or the cabinet of Dr. Caligari. Present-day practitioners of what passes for whatever art the Zionist controllers define as art are hoping to snag a few of those life forms and hang them from one of those metal apparatuses with the fishhook flesh suspenders and have themselves a showing at MoMA. Pain is the new pleasure, just like lies are the new truth. I've wrestled for some time with the use of the word Jew. This is because my personal experience of various classes of people claiming that title does not allow for them all to be defined the same. I've come up with what I think is the best name for the present-day, most lethal and pervasive abusers of humanity, and that is Neo-Pharisee. That's what I'm going to use now to define Zion Nazis, genocidal Israelis, bankers, media manipulators, and sundry. Then we have Pharisee enablers, which are either silent Jews, fundamentalist Christians, or soulless husks looking for a leg up with the left-hand god of the Pharisees. I'm thinking of commercial catchphrases for them. Pharisees, they were good enough to crucify Jesus, and now they're going to crucify the Christianity that crucified itself, and then you. 4,000 years of consistency in action. Support your favorite Pharisee today, on your knees or back on your heads, because coffee break is over. If it's not true, it's a Pharisee exclusive. Trade in that birthright for some gourmet steaming potage, because nobody knows they're eating shit if you serve it to them warm. Look for the kosher label. Gay rights, one more locomotive for the Pharisee left. It's not real control unless you swallow it whole and make a Pharisee smile when you do. The black man's friend, from the slave ships to the slumlords, in the projects and the pawn shops in the hood. The Pharisee's your homie, and we be good. It's absolutely amazing how they got control of the money supply and then went on to purchase everything they needed to control the flow of information and the perception of culture into what I am observing humping itself in the petri dish. Then they manufactured a myth that had no previous existence in the memoirs of the major players of the time, in the press of the day, or in any structural fact, and sold it to the Pharisee enablers to sell to their children and the rest of the world for a place at the trough. Then, under false pretenses, they stole Palestine in the Middle East from the people of the book and made it against the law to question the Genesis so that they could present themselves as Semitic, while genociding the actual Semitics and using the catch club phrase of anti-Semitic to protect them from exposure as being crypto-commie reptiles, masquerading as the ones whose culture they want to wipe out in order to legitimize their own. It's a kind of AIDS virus operating 24/7, and you don't have to sleep with them. All you have to do is believe what they tell you, keeping in mind that objection is a reputation and career-destroying move. What's happening is that the apocalypse is making this increasingly more and more clear to those previously locked into a Stockholm syndrome of perpetual abuse. It's been moving consonantly with the time-speed increase and is about to go turbo when the veils get torn for real. In the meantime, they're projecting themselves into louder and more pernicious public expressions of what they should have been at pains to conceal, but the need to dance for the cameras and damning self-exposure is irresistible to the arrogant and megalomaniac's desire to be seen as the preening architects of the destruction of civilization. In the meantime, the mass of population is being awakened to the effect, and at some point, two opposing forces are going to be contending for what shape the future is going to take. One is very small, one is very large. From Lloyd Blankfein, the Octopus Wrangler, to Rupert Murdoch, the Smut and Lies Wrangler, from the central bankers to the government agency heads, they are digging a hole so deep that they will eventually reach the infernal lands for that final and timely exodus into the realm of their master. The age of the Neo-Pharisee is coming to an end, and it will not go gentle into that burning and blackened night. They're running homeland insecurity and setting all of the legal policies for the enslavement of the populace who might otherwise object. B'nai B'rith and the ADL are actually in charge of it all, and Eric Holder and Barack Obama have been flashed back to the 1850s. Don't tell me we don't have time travel. They've got blackmail videos of most of the members of Congress and everyone else in every vital place. There's hope that the military is not entirely compromised and might perform a coup. We'll see. The Neo-Pharisees and the Crypto-Pharisees, the Bush-Ligula cabal and the Fundi Schmooze are all groping each other in the petri dish and looking to go contagious and viral. They've got that big Christmas tree on that South Korean hill, and they're just waiting to see if the bait trawling can land them some exploding fish to turn the whole landscape into flaming sashimi, which sort of defeats the actual comestibles description. They're not going to need any wasabi. A certain beast is rising in the midst of these fecal gourmands, in the middle of their Roman orgy of cannibal coprophagia, so called because it's living shit, masquerading as some kind of Midas touch in reverse, and being sold and desired as the genuine article. This is the real shit, and they made it themselves. This rough beast is going to do a sweat lodge number on the stones of Bethlehem, making a sort of wood-fired oven for the house of bread. It's all prophecy becoming real, and revelations in action. It's a recurring cosmic event that shows up like clockwork at the deathbed of the culture, ready to pull the plug on the electric charge that is keeping the steaming mass of pus alive in the petri dish of the world as we know it. Or don't know it now. They've been identified by a number of people who only totaled over 100,000 at the end of the war, and now total upwards of over 1 million, because apparently they've been reproducing in the petri dish at the dark of the moon. With the real figures, that's 40 identifications to every single survivor, and wouldn't you think some of them might have passed on over the course of 65 years? It's another expression of that new math where, even though there was a population increase over the course of the war years, check your census dockets, somehow we've got the irrefutable disappearances of the non-existent, endless marching ranks of ghosts with their hands out, being generated by a perpetual hallucination machine. Well, I'm not going to let this be my pre-Christmas finale. We'll head over to Visible Origami on Christmas Eve. By the way, Merry Christmas, and stay out of dark alleys if you're wearing Santa suits, because there are press gangs running around with menorah saps. Merry Christmas. Damn, I wish I had a job that I could endanger by saying that, but I don't. Merry Rama Lama Gotterdammerung, and a joyous new age. End transmission.